As I mentioned, welcome guys to week 2. We are in our second week. So again, if you are just starting to do eco with us, again, kind of the procedure and or the way we do it is we will meet every week. We have our different topics. Today, we're going to be talking about animal architects. So we're going to talk about what that means. And then we're going to talk about the examples that they built, and then we're going to be building something ourselves as well. So that's kind of the topic for today. So like I said, the main focus is going to be about animal architects. So let me ask you guys this before we kind of start off. Remember, if you want to add or answer a question, you can raise your hand. You can use the little hand raise button. I'm not sure how you get to that in the chat thing. You could also type it in the chat if you like. However you want to participate, just let me know. But to start off, I want to ask you guys, what are some things that people build? So can anybody give me an example of something that people build either to help them out or either as something that we need it for? All right, let's see who's first. Let's see, Hunter, go ahead. Start us off. What is something that people build?
A house.
A house, wonderful, absolutely. Houses, absolutely, perfect. Good starting us off. What's another thing? Let's see. Make sure I have everyone right. Joseph?
Like a giant building?
Yeah, buildings, absolutely. People build buildings, kind of makes sense. And those buildings can be used for many different things. They can be business buildings, they can be food buildings, really, really, really anything. So great example. Anything else people build? Do we build anything else? We build houses, buildings. Let's see. Who else? Is it Tempest? Is that it? Go ahead.
They can build houses and cars.
Oh, cars. That's a really good one too. Absolutely. Definitely build cars. We got to get to places that can kind of accumulate, or that goes with a lot of different other things we build.
They can build stacks too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. What else? Let's see. Jadalyn, go ahead.
They can build buildings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Buildings for sure. Anything else? You guys are doing great. How do we, oh, okay. Omya and Adia, go ahead.
They can build ships.
Perfect. Yeah.
Boats.
Boats, absolutely. Yeah, ships and boats. I was just going to say, how do we get across water? So we get across water with ships and boats for sure. How else do we get across water?
Submarines.
Oh, submarines. Oh, that's another great one. I love it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Let's see. Hunter, how do we get across water?
Bridge.
Bridges, absolutely. Yeah, bridges is definitely one too. Absolutely. Reese, did you have anything else to add? Saw your hand was up.
There's something that Bowser built.
Hold on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was about to say, so something that we build, right? Something that we need to utilize. So all you guys gave is all great examples of things that humans build. So we build things to basically help us get around, either to help us move around, to help us get to certain locations. We also build things as our homes. So obviously, you know, humans, we have our own needs. We have certain things that we have to build. Well, animals are just the same. Animals are also have things that they need to build and they need to make. So we're going to look at a few examples of things that animals make. I also have some actual real examples of them as well that we're going to cover as well. So I want you guys to look at this matching activity that we're going to do. So if you have this worksheet with you, perfect. If you do not, that's okay. You can just kind of follow along. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna first let you guys take your best guess as to which homemade shelter goes with which animal. So before you do it, I'm gonna go over real quick what the animals are, just so that way you know, and it might help you. If you aren't sure, that's totally fine. Take your best guess as to what you think the structure that this animal makes. Totally fine. So like I said, I'm gonna first go over what our animals are. So we have our first animal here, which is a beaver. Our next animal we have is a honeybee. Next one up is an ant. Next one up is a wasp. And then last but not least, we have a termite. So you have all of your animals. So one shelter goes with one animal. So for example, I have my beaver here, and I'm going to look on my side options here and say, what shelter does the beaver live in? So I'm going to look at my pictures, look at my options, and I'm going to take my best guess. And what I'm going to do is once I've decided, I'm going to draw a line from my animal over to whichever shelter I think it makes. So for example, if I think my beaver makes this first one here, I'm going to draw a line straight across and say, our beaver is making this structure. Then I'm going to go to the next one and say, all right, what does a honeybee make? What kind of shelter or place to live does this bee make? And I'm going to look at my options and I'm going to decide. So go ahead, take a minute or so and decide. Like I said, if you're not sure, that's totally okay. Take your best guess. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over it all together in a minute.
I have something that people build.
What's that?
They build computers, and that lets us do this.
Yeah, I was about to say, they do build computers for sure. Absolutely. So like I said, go ahead, take a minute or so and decide. Like I said, each animal builds one of these structures on the side. So like I said, match up who you think builds what.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't have the paper I had in my backpack last time.
Okay.
But when I was at my mother's house and a box came, it was in there, but I came over my father's house with it in my backpack, but I don't step into it.
That's okay. If you don't have the worksheet, that's okay. We're going to go over it all together. So just hang tight for a minute or so while we wait. And like I said, we'll go over it together so you can see.
Okay.
Awesome. So like I said, take a minute or so, take your best guess as to which structure you think they make, and then we're gonna go over each one. And as I mentioned, I have a few examples of some of these structures as well.
I'm ready.
All righty, wonderful. I'll give everyone just another minute.
Me too, I'm done.
Perfect. Okay, so give you guys a minute to decide, and then we will get on into it.
Can you juggle?
All righty. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. So like I said, we're just gonna go through each animal and we're gonna decide and figure out what their shelter is and also what it's made out of. Because if you can see on our lovely picture here, all of our shelters are made out of some different materials. And we're gonna talk about why they're made that way and maybe why they're structured that way. So our first animal, like I said, is our lovely handy dandy beaver. Does anybody want to point out or show which shelter our beaver makes? Let's see, Kayla, go ahead. Sorry, Kayla, go ahead, try that again. I think I heard you. Did you see? You can also point at it too if that's easier. Or you can just say like it's the third
little
one.
House with sticks.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Yeah, so it's the third one down that has sticks. So if you pick this one right here, you are correct. This is the one that has our beaver dam. That is what this is called. So I'm gonna draw a line real quick just so that way you can see it. And we'll talk about it in a second. So yes, so our lovely, cute little beaver guy here is the builder of our beaver dam. And as Kayla said, you can clearly see the materials it's made of. It's made of sticks and leaves and stuff like that. And also really good indicator is how you could know it was from a beaver is it's located right next to the water. Beavers prefer to be against the water because that helps them in their building, as well as it's another form of protection for them. Perfect, awesome. So that was a great one. Good starter off, wonderful. So we're gonna move on to our next animal. So our next animal here is our lovely honeybee. So looking at our options on the side, who would like to show or say which one our honeybee goes with? Let's see. Hunter, go ahead. Which one of our shelters does our honeybee make? You can point at it if that's easier. Perfect, yes. If you guys look at the very, very bottom, we have our honey hive, or our beehive, I should say. Our beehive down here is the structure that our honeybee makes. So perfect, yes, that is a good, right on track. You guys are doing awesome. So yeah, so you may have seen a beehive before. This is just one form or one way that a beaver hive looks. The picture also slightly gives it away as to what the hive looks like as well. So good job, absolutely. All right, next animal we got is an ant. We have our lovely little ant here. Does anybody know which structure does our ant make? Let's see. Omia Nadia, go ahead.
This ant house. Wait,
Perfect. Yep, exactly. It's the fourth one down. It's this kind of giant pile of dirt here. Yes. So our anthill is what our ant makes. Again, these names are pretty much right on what they are called. So you can see our anthill is made up of dirt. Makes sense. Our ants are on the ground. They're moving dirt constantly. And so that is what their home, their structure looks like. Not all ants make this big of a anthill. You might have seen a really small one in your backyard or on the sidewalk or something. But this is a good picture of a type of ant that makes that. Alrighty, next one. So let's move on. Next one is our wasp. Our wasp down here. So which one? We have two more options left. Out of our two, which one does our wasp make? Let's see. Kayla, go for it again.
Is it this one?
Yep, you are exactly correct. Yep. So I didn't put the name in there because I didn't want to give it away, but this is a paper wasp, and it makes a paper nest, a paper wasp nest. So yeah, so this one right here is matched with that. So let me draw our line. So yes, our paper wasp makes this type of shelter. Perfect. All right. And then last but not least, we have one last option. So that's what you can definitely tell or know. Like I said, our last one is this little termite down here. And the structure and shelter that a termite makes is this structure right here. This is called a termite mound. So it's quite large. You can see it's normally found kind of in the southern areas in places that are warm. Places that also have clay, because that's a really great way for them to build their structure. So let me draw our last line just so that way we have everyone matched up as well. Wonderful. So like I said, each one has their own different type of structure, own different type that they build. As I mentioned, I have some examples, just a few of some examples of things that animals build. So for example, what is this that an animal builds? Looking at the structure, have you ever seen something like this before? What is this? Let's see. Joseph, go ahead.
It looks like a bee nest.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a part of a beehive. So the thing that might have been the easiest to tell is it has all of the little holes inside it, as well as on this other level as well, that the bees would make. And what do bees store inside their bee comb beehive? Honey, perfect. Yeah, so they store honey in all of these little individual cells. So again, we've been talking about animals building things. The hive is a intricate part of the bee society. It's a really important piece. Again, it's where they store all of their honey at. It's also where they also do other things inside there. The hive itself is made out of wax that hardens. So it's really interesting to kind of check out and feel. You can also see kind of inside the separate layer. So you can see how they kind of build up each level of the comb, which is pretty cool as well. So that's one thing, like I said. The other thing that they, or another thing that is built, this kind of shows you kind of the outside of a beehive. So you can see it has this kind of outside coating on it. And then inside, when you look at it, it's got your hive and everything inside. So the reason that they have this kind of coating on the outside is to help them protect it in the winter time. So bees do not all completely die off. There are some that still end up being around during the winter time. So they need to make sure that they keep their hive really warm. So they have this like really nice protective layer that again, they build and they prepare and stuff like that, that helps them. So like I said, this is kind of a like half view of a hive itself. So like I said, you have the outside and then you can also see inside. So obviously if this was, you know, outside, it would be fully covered. So you wouldn't have any of the actual hive exposed. But again, it's a really cool way to kind of look inside and kind of check it out as well, which is pretty cool. And then last but not least, we have another structure that we're actually going to be prepping and preparing to make as well. But I have an example of it. It's not a container. I have an example of it. So something that you can see, I'm also going to point my screen down as well, is what kind of structure is this, and or what animal makes this? Let's see. Hunter, go ahead. What kind of structure is this, and or what animal makes this? A bird nest. Perfect. Yeah, so this is a bird nest. The cool thing to check out about it, and that you might notice, is that it's got a whole bunch of different stuff in it, right? It has your kind of grass and leaves and stuff like that, but what else does it have inside of it that you see? What is all this other stuff? Anybody know? Yes, Tempest, go ahead.
Like rocks. Plastic?
Yeah, it's plastic. If you guys see this, you know, you see this clear kind of part, this is part of like a plastic bag.
It's made out of brown grass, and grass is green.
Yeah,
and it's made out of colorful ribbons.
Exactly, yeah. So not only does it have your kind of natural materials, got your grass, but it has other things inside of it. It's got plastic, it's got some string, some ribbon as well, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Elijah, go ahead.
The green nest, people wasp nest. The green nest, does it blend in with some trees?
Yeah, I was gonna say it comes from the trees. Yeah, Yes, Joseph, were you gonna add something?
I have a little bug on me. Yeah. Do the birds fly to not only to feed their baby birds, to make their nest out of scrap?
Yeah, so they fly around and they go collect the materials and they build their nest out of different materials that they're able to find. So for example, this bird apparently was probably in an area that maybe had a bunch of trash or maybe had some pieces of it laying around. And so it decided that it was going to incorporate that and make that part of its nest, which again, it just kind of happens, and or you use the materials that you got. So what we're going to do, like I said, this is kind of a hint as to what we're making. So I'm going to put this back real quick. And what you're going to do is you're going to get your materials ready for the craft. So like I said, you should have a bag that has your build a nest materials on it. So what we're going to do, or what your first step to do, is to grab the bag. And I want you to dump out all of the items that are inside your bag. So put them in a spot that's, you can get to, and or not all over the place. But like I said, take everything out of your bag itself. So you just have your empty bag.
Mommy.
So like I said, you have your bag, it has your materials in it. Dump out your materials right next to you. Your bag should say either bird nest craft, it should say build your own nest, it should say nest on it, it has any of those things. So like I said, once you get your bag, dump out all your materials onto the side for now. And then I'll explain how we're kind of starting our bag process and then how we're gonna make it. Yeah, so like I said, put all your items that were in the bag to a side, and then you're gonna need your actual bag because we're gonna be doing something with the actual bag. All right, so if you have taken all your items out of your bag, next step, it's very, very important. We're gonna be basically making the base of your bag or of your nest. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your bag and you're gonna squish it down to make a nest. So you can see I'm starting to fold in my sides of my paper bag. So you can see I'm folding in the sides just like this, but I'm making sure I still have a hole in the middle. So I'm folding it down and kind of squishing it. So you can see I'm squishing my bag down so that way it's in a circle. Like I said, you're taking your plastic bag and just rolling the sides of it down so that way you can make kind of a circle base to start off your nest. So it doesn't have to be perfectly round or perfectly shaped. It can be whatever shape you are. Nests in general are not perfectly round. Just kind of depends. Perfect. So everyone's is looking great. Exactly. So like I said, just kind of fold your sides down. So that way you're making it into a nice circle, or mine's kind of more square now at this point. That's okay too. So you kind of see it's pretty flat, but it's got a nice base to it. So I know this is kind of where I'm starting my nest off of. So like I said, that is your base. That's kind of what we're going to build our nest of. And then what you're going to do, so you have your base ready. You're now going to take all the materials and all the items you had inside your bag, and you're going to start to layer them on top of each other to make your nest. So you should have items such as you should have some feathers. You probably have some raffia or this kind of brown streamish kind of stuff. So what you're going to do, and you can do this in any order or any way that you would like. There is no right or wrong way to build your nest. So what you're going to do is you're just going to start piling all of your items inside your already kind of pre-made nest. So I'm going to start off with this layer. So I'm going to kind of push it in and kind of push it and make it into the middle of my nest. So I'm going to start off with that. I'm next going to add some feathers into mine. I'm going to place some of my feathers on top. as well. So I've got my feathers in the middle as well. Again, you can layer these on however much you want. You can use as much as you want. So if you only want to use a few feathers, that is up to you. If you want to use all of them, use them all, stuff them in there. You can also use, I believe you might have string in there or whatever other kind of material you have. If you have string, great. You can also just again kind of pile that up, whatever other item you have inside there. I have a few more feathers, kind of add that on top, just like that. Did anybody have a question before I missed it?
I want to see your string.
Oh. Who was that? Was that Jadalyn?
Yes.
All right, let me try again. Here, hold on. Okay.
Now I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So again, so I've put in all of my little items. I've left my egg out. You can leave your egg out. That's your last item. But I've piled in all of my other items into my middle of my nest. So again, you can use as much or as little to it as you like. You can also add in any other extra stuff you might have in your house. So if you have some other kind of stuff laying around, like construction paper or other small items like that, you can absolutely add that to your nest. And then the last but not least part or addition to your nest is your lovely little egg. So once you've completed your nest, you're gonna put your egg wherever you would like as well again. And there is your nest. That is basically how you build a nest. You could also, cool thing, you could also add in natural elements. Remember how we saw some natural and non-natural elements or items in our other nests? You could do that as well. So for example, if you have grass or sticks in your backyard, you could definitely add that into the middle part of it. Yeah, Joseph, did you have a question real quick?
My eggs nest looks really comfortable.
Yeah.
I put the orange feather on the last because my favorite color is orange.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, supposed to say. So like I said, you now have a nest for your awesome little egg for that. Also, we're just about out of time, so I'll quickly get logged off here. But like I said, you can keep your nest and or you can add some natural things to it, like grass or sticks or even dirt, stuff like that, whatever you want. But that is it for today. So I will go ahead and get logged off now. I will see you all next week. Have a good rest of your week/weekend. And I will see you all again